Hi there, this is another analysis question, hopefully answered in this vlog here today. Now the question we're going to be answering is, in what way does your media product use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real life media products? Wow, that was a bit of a mouthful, but hopefully in this vlog we'll be able to get through all the different points and cover as many avenues as we can to help us answer this question. So first of all, conventions of real documentaries. Throughout my research and planning, a lot of it was spent watching different types of wildlife documentaries and picking out specific techniques and ideas and concepts that they use within their programs. Now, one of the main features that can be found in wildlife documentaries it's funny enough, it's very simple. It's actually the use of natural light. And in a lot of the programs that I watch, so for example Lost Land of the Jaguar or The Hunt or Frozen Planet, those sorts of programs, the blue chip programs, a lot of them use natural light and there's very little artificial light. And I've tried to carry that on over to my own media product. None of it is shot in artificial light, it's all natural. It's all ambient light. Even in the hide, I ramped the ISO ratings on the GoPro so that it was more sensitive to the available light that was in the hide at the time. Another convention is the very smooth, steady panning and static shots of the animal themselves. For example, when I was filming the jays in the garden, I was using a fluid head, and this enabled me to get the really nice smooth panning shots as the birds were jumping and hopping around, feeding on the nuts that I put out for them. And also, occasionally they would stop in one place and just pick up lots of nuts, and that really helped me to really focus in on the detail of the jays themselves and use the lens to its full potential. As well as using long lenses and things through my documentary, I also included quite a bit of actually filming myself and the whole process of setting up for the videos and the shots. And this can be seen at, usually near the end, the last sort of 10 minutes of the programs that I was watching. For example, BBC's The Hunt. And this is where they actually show the behind the scenes of how they actually get the shot themselves. So it takes you behind the scenes and step by step in terms of the process it actually took to film that certain species. And that's what I've tried to include in my documentary, because as well as the lovely natural shots of the wildlife, you also got the shots of me as the presenter helping guide the audience through. And that's another sort of convention that can be found in wildlife documentaries, especially the more the blue chip ones, so Blue Planet, Frozen Planet, Planet Earth, Human Planet, things like that. Is they have either a narrator or a presenter, such as in Lost Land of the Jaguar, that helps guide the audience through a fairly specialist subject. And not a lot of people know wildlife, especially foreign exotic wildlife, and sometimes even wildlife that's on the doorstep. So it's really crucial to have me as the presenter to go through the whole process with them of what I'm actually photographing and why I'm actually photographing them. Conventions included, I've mentioned those hopefully throughout that last little section of what I've seen in current documentaries and real life examples, and also how I've applied those examples and conventions into my own media product. And also I touched very gently on the subject of subgenres. For this example, you've also got the narrator and presenter, and also there's a mix of the two. For example, in Lost Land of the Jaguar, they follow a group of scientists exploring the wildlife of an area, but you've also got a narrator telling the audience what those presenters are actually doing, and it also helps to introduce them, which is quite good for the show. And this is quite good for the scenes where it's sort of you've got the aerial drone shots as they're coming into the jungle. It explains exactly what's happening and where it's going in terms of the episode and what the actual program is about with the presenters. The presenters are there as a media guide for the audience, and they also help to break down specialist terminology and also help to simplify certain aspects of the wildlife, because the audience sometimes doesn't have prior knowledge to wildlife or the subjects. It's quite a niche topic, really. In terms of my newspaper conventions, that was a little bit difficult because not a lot of wildlife documentaries are actually advertised in newspapers, especially not broadsheets. You'd often find them sort of in the Daily Mail, the Metro. I found the Metro was one that there was a lot of animal stories from around the world, but there wasn't actually many wildlife program advertisements in the back where the usual TV guide is. I had a look at quite a few examples, but I couldn't actually find any. There are quite a lot of articles, usually more quirky articles, giving the animals a bit more of a personality, but that is all I could find as far as newspapers concerned. So what I tried to do was look at the articles that I found. For example, in the Daily Mail there's an article on a gecko that looked a bit like Kermit the Frog, and it had big bold letters and sort of saying, "We found Kermit in the jungle." So that was actually something I tried to apply to my own newspaper adverts. So I used a big bold title in order to get the audience's sort of attention focused straight away to the article, and then by using different colours, when I say different, I mean simple colours, so just black and white, really helps to make it look professional. And also I don't want to complicate it too much, so I used 2-bit images and used I used Adobe Photoshop. I used PowerPoint. I just tried to cover as many different angles as I could, which is why I'm getting a little bit confused. But I used PowerPoint for the newspaper advertisement, simply because it was a very simple program to use, and newspaper adverts are often quite simple in their format, so that's why I chose to use 2 images, a short piece of text, and then a bold title, and it was very simple yet effective, I feel. When it came to magazine articles, this was a completely different story, although the articles that I did find were in a wildlife specific magazine. That was BBC Wildlife, which is a monthly issue that comes out, and their magazine advertisements are usually at the back of the magazine, so I had quite a lot to look at in terms of content. So I went through, and the main focus was the images were in the middle, and then it was surrounded by text, and then a few images at the bottom. So that's what I tried to incorporate into my own magazine article to describe the program. The text, there's a lot more text in the magazine article because that gives a little bit more depth for the audience, as they can sort of see what they're actually looking at and what the program's about. So I've used a big bold title at the top, and then I've used pieces of text either side. At least a bit bulky, but I feel that's just sort of perfect for a magazine article, because the type of people that are reading it are for a specialist audience, so that's what they're looking to see. And I added a bit more text than were in the examples, but I felt that was a conscious decision on my behalf. The magazine articles I looked at, a lot of them were just a big picture with a very small piece of writing, but I didn't really feel that could convey a whole program, so I decided to go ahead against the convention, really. Not so much that it was a negative factor, but it was actually more of a positive, I feel, because it gave a little bit more info to the audience as to what my program was about. So hopefully I've covered everything in terms of what I've done to challenge or conform to the conventions of my media products and the ancillary tasks themselves. So thank you for watching, and that's all for now.